Hello and welcome to another edition of the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
That's my dad.
How are you?
We are continuing with our all-time dream team of the current MLB franchises. Today's features the Tampa Bay Rays, the former Devil Rays. So it's a very short team in terms of MLB history. We're only looking at 1998 to now, so a very recent team, obviously, in MLB history. So the names everyone should recognize that's watching at home. We're not talking about 1902 players here. They're all very recent. If you're just joining us, what we do, you have to have at least 3 years of team history on, in this case, the Rays to be considered on this list. So if you only did, for example, Will Myers, good name to use. Will Myers only did 2 years before, I think, being traded to the Padres. So he wouldn't count on this list if you thought he deserved it. He wouldn't find his space. So you have to have at least 3 years, 3 seasons of Ray service time. And then we go through catcher all the way through DH, every position, and then a starter, reliever, closer, best manager, and then we usually obviously have more than a couple logos to discuss. Like, oh, what's our favorite logo? So we'll still talk about our favorite logo. There's still 4 in a very young 22-year-old team.
Because of the name change.
Because of the name change, yeah. No more Devil, now Rays. But we'll talk about that and see which one, if we like the Devil Ray logo more or just the Ray logo. But we'll get to that at the very end. We ping pong, so we go back and forth. We start with catcher. Dad, I will go with you first. Who is your starting catcher?
There's not a whole lot to choose from.
This is 100% correct in most categories. There's no Hall of Famers on this list.
I came up with 3 choices, but I think my final vote goes to Curt Casali. Apparently, he had the longest time as catcher of all the catchers I looked up, and then I had Jose Molina as a second one, just because of his defense, brother of Benji, of course, and then there wasn't a whole lot to choose from. But as far as longevity, Curt Casali is the one who has the most longevity.
What's very interesting about the Rays is none of these pitchers or none of these players are going to probably make anyone else's all-time dream team list. Benefit of being a young team, and if you're a moderately decent player, you actually might make their list. The catcher is something they've always struggled with in Tampa, and I don't know why exactly. Maybe it's just because it's so hot, but I don't know. But I went with Toby Hall, kind of the same reason you did, early 2000s to mid 2000s catcher. Not the most impressive catcher, in my opinion. Probably not the starter on many other teams. If he was to be, randomly you're a Red Sox, I don't think you're starting for the Red Sox to Hall.
No, they're mostly second string at most other clubs.
I agree. I think all of your options were second string on all other clubs. Again, just consistent, moderate catcher, solid backstop, probably an 8th or 9th in the lineup type of guy. Sorry to lead off on not a positive foot, but let's talk about. Do you have something else?
Real quickly, when they got to the playoffs, during their great seasons, when they made the playoffs and even went as far as playing the Phillies, the question was, what was the best defensive catcher they could put out there for that game? And he batted them, like 9th, and even it was always down at the bottom of the lineup. But who was the best defensive catcher? No offense was included with any of these guys, but they chose the catcher strictly on defense.
You kind of have to at that point. So moving into a little bit more offensive positions, first base, I think you probably have 1 or 2 names here. You have Carlos Pena or Fred McGriff. I went with Carlos Pena.
I went with Carlos Pena, but I had Travis Lee in the discussion as well.
Oh, yeah, I do remember him as well.
Yes, and Carlos Pena was the big home run guy.
Yes, terrible average, though. He had 2 seasons with the Rays where he batted under 200.
Yeah.
So everyone talks about Chris Davis nowadays. Carlos Pena deserves to be in that discussion of just terrible hitter. Great home runs. He got on base. With the Tigers as well. I mean, he had a half a year with the Athletics when he was a rookie.
And Cubs.
Yeah, he served with a year of the Cubs.
Same thing. Lots of home runs, batted 198.
Yeah. He had a Gold Glove in there with the Rays at 1.2. Sound off if you thought Pena or McGriff or even Lee would have been your starting choice. Who do you have at second?
Ben Zobrist, of course. The best utility player of all time.
I agree with that, too. Yeah. You can put him anywhere. You really could play him anywhere, except probably catcher. But yeah, great second baseman. 2 All-Star appearances with the Rays. I have Zobrist as well. But yeah, just fantastic. And it's sad to say that I think his career is finally over.
Yes.
He's 39, no baseball this year. So he's not going to come back when he's 40 to play. He's retired.
The great thing about Zobrist was he started as an infielder, learned to play the outfield, and Joe Maddon said, hey, if you want to be in a lineup, have to have versatility, and he got to be very good at 7 different positions, and he played every day.
Yeah, and he had a great bat, and
Yeah.
just you have to have him in your lineup. And I think again he gets to start on this team, but maybe he would make the 25 man on maybe the Royals history, maybe the Cubs, maybe
Yeah.
just because of the versatility of his defensive skills.
Yeah.
Shortstop, I have Julio Lugo. Consistent shortstop in terms of defense as well as just average. Great, so I think he played almost every game easily. I don't remember him really being injured with the Rays. Plus, he was always a speed threat. So putting him, I actually would put him more lower in my lineup just to balance out because there's a lot of other speed demons that the Rays I think are kind of famous for having, especially now with Malik Smith.
Yes.
I think he stole every base in one inning, sort of like
Neat.
Willie Mays Hayes in Major
Okay.
League. I think he stole every base in one inning.
Yeah.
But Julio Lugo would be my starting shortstop.
I had Yunel Escobar.
Okay, yeah.
And another
Either
great,
one.
Yeah, another great defensive shortstop, great range, and a very good arm, and again a very steady player for the Rays.
Yeah. For third base.
Ivan Longoria.
Yeah, Evan. Yeah,
Evan,
yeah. It's
sorry.
okay. He's got Desperate Housewives apparently on the mind.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Eva Longoria. I'm sure he got that joke all his life. But yeah, no, that's a simple pick.
Evan, my friend.
Yeah, Ivan Longoria.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. He's not gonna watch it.
That's right. We'll get
If you're watching this, Evan, sound off in the comments.
That's right. Or text us, and
Yeah.
we'll go from there. But Evan was great, and he still is. He's the one that made the big hit to get the Rays into the playoffs over the Red Sox years ago. So he was probably remembered for that hit as much as any other hit along the way. But yeah, that was a great end of that season, and it came down to the final day. The Orioles of all teams beat the Red Sox to get Tampa Bay into the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was ironic.
Yeah, I think Longoria has a unique. He's unique to this list because I think in 20 years, if we were to revisit this or anyone was to revisit the best Rays, I think he's still the best third baseman the Rays will have.
Yes.
I think a lot of these positions could be taken over by someone else. When we get to starting pitcher, maybe Snell takes over eventually as the best Rays pitcher ever. So I think this is going to be a very constantly changing list, and it's going to be very fun to readjust. Because I think the Rays are really fun to watch still. I mean, they still are 90-win games in a tough division with many millions of dollars more than they have in payroll, and they still manage to win. So it's really fun to watch them.
They're a hustling club and everything else. And again, he's the star.
Yeah.
So he's always seems to be in the center of everything.
Yeah. Moving on to the outfield now, I got Carl Crawford. I think Carl Crawford has best years in Tampa before he got heavy, obviously, with Boston, and then really heavy with the Dodgers, and then faded out of his career. 4-time All-Star, 1-time Gold Glover. True speed. I talked about Lugo being a speed threat. Crawford in his prime, fastest person on this team, and definitely would be my leadoff hitter.
50 stolen bases one
year? I think he hit 60. But fact check us. Let us know. I know, but consistent. I mean, if that man's on first, if you walked him, you just gave him a double.
That's true. You're right. The best years were with Tampa Bay, and then it kind of went downhill after that, but was very good with Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I'll leave Kevin, that's my dad's name. I don't know if I've actually said that in the podcast, to talk about the center fielder.
Kevin Kiermaier.
There you go.
Probably the best center fielder of the American League right now. And
defensively, you're saying?
Yeah, defensively.
Okay, not offensively, yeah.
He can go get it.
Yeah.
And again, strong arm. And, again, I don't know how much longer he'll be in Tampa Bay because there's always trade rumors about him. But again, just a great center fielder, very athletic. Not the best offensive outfielder, but defensively, I think he's in the top 3 of the American League.
Yeah. I had the Outlaw as well. He's a 3-time Gold Glover. I just think he needs to stay healthy and not injured so much, as we see so many times with these all-star, especially center fielders that just run into walls, overdo it, etc., etc. Staying healthy out of injury is going to be key to a long career for Kevin because you don't want to see anything get short.
Correct. He does hit the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving to right field, I actually had the toughest time with because not many people hit 3 years in right for the Rays. They play a lot of left. There's a lot of center fielders that run through Tampa Bay. Again, always a lot of speed in center. But I went with Steven Souza.
Interesting. He's a Cub now.
Yeah.
And he was very good. I had Jonny Gomes.
I see Gomes too. I can definitely see that. I just thought that Souza had just a little bit better numbers. He only had, I think, 3 or 4 years with the Rays. Like I said, it was tough. I mean, Jonny Gomes, I love Gomes as a former Red Sox, but neither of these people should be on an all-time dream team list. I do think Austin Meadows will be that right fielder in just a couple years.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great breakout in 19. I wish it was followed up by a fantastic 2020, but I think that kid is going to be something for Tampa Bay. Hope they keep him.
Who's your fourth outfielder? Because we're missing a name that was very good, but played left field. And
Who do you have?
B.J. Upton.
Oh, yeah, now Melvin Upton because he decided to change his name. Yeah, he played a lot of center. He never played right.
Yeah, but he was a very good Ray, and offensively was very up there all the time, and valued member of the team. Just didn't fit in those three categories, but pretty good.
I always like Matt Joyce. Again, not the best. Again, this is just, we're not, knocking Rays fans or anything like that, or Rays players. Matt Joyce is just kind of fun to watch, and I think you could have pegged him at either corner position or the DH slot, which I know he kind of fell into later in his career. But yeah, it's tough out there. Luckily, you kind of have Kiermaier and Crawford in left and center, so right field is going to be maybe a little bit of a weaker position in my mind. So Souza, do what you can out there. Coming to DH, again, you could come back to Fred McGriff. You could talk about Delman Young. Who are you picking?
I went with Fred.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he did mostly first base when he was with Tampa, but he did DH as well. But great hitter, and again, I mean, there's a pretty offensive club. If you think about that lineup back in that era, they scored some runs.
Yeah. I went with Aubrey Huff. Well, I'm just tossing stuff around now. I went with Aubrey Huff. He had less strikeouts than McGriff and better numbers in terms of home runs and RBIs. When McGriff came to Tampa, he was at the tail end of his career, twilight years type of thing. I think Fred McGriff deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Aubrey Huff does not. Just putting that out there. But I just think that Aubrey Huff had better years with Tampa, and that's why I chose him over Fred. Now, starting pitcher. There's a few options you could go with. The Rays get pretty well blessed with great young starters. Can't afford them. Trade them away too soon. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. Who is your pick for who takes the mound?
David Price.
I think that's a fair pick.
And a lot of it with Tampa, when they were really bad, they had a lot of high draft choices. That's why the B.J. Uptons and David Price and all those guys were there for him to draft. And that's why they filled all these slots, because of the draft. But David was a great draft choice. Had to be in the top 3 or 4 that year that he came out of Vanderbilt. And he was a great pitcher for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think besides Snell, he's the only Ray Cy Young. 4-time All-Star as well. And again, I think he had the best years of his life as a Tampa Bay Ray. Had some really great seasons with Detroit, and had, I would say, 2 good seasons with the Red Sox. But Price is the one who I would give the ball to.
That was a Dodger.
For now. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Now, relief and closer, again, there's been so many different names that have come through the ranks with Tampa. I mean, Rodney is something that comes to mind. Who are you giving the ball to in the 8th? Who gets it in the 9th?
Troy Percival.
So Troy, now here's the thing. Thank you for that. Troy only played 1 year for Tampa Bay. Yeah, so he's off the list.
Okay.
Don't worry, I won't put in the comments that you said that. I don't edit videos, so we're just going to see it.
I'll go with Jake McGee.
Okay, I had McGee as well.
And then closer Wade Davis.
Okay, yeah, I see Wade Davis for sure. I went with McGee as just, he had some great years. He's a hard-throwing left-hander as well, so back-to-back lefties with Price and McGee. And I'm with Alex Colomb, who was, I think, their all-time save leader in just a short amount of years. But Rodney's in there, too. They've had, again, a lot of closers come up through the ranks. Roberto Hernandez in the 90s was really strong, but they just don't seem to hang around that often. They do 3-4 years, and they realize, wow, if I'm getting 30 saves in Tampa, I might get 50 in somewhere else. So a lot of people don't leave there, and McGee's in Colorado now. I think Colomb is also no longer on the team. So
and Wade Davis back in the day used to set up.
Yeah.
So
but he could be a closer.
Yeah.
So could McGee. But you can, again, it's the bullpen, and you can interchange a lot of things. Manager, I think one obviously takes the cake. We got Joe Maddon. I'm assuming big Joe Maddon fan right here.
Big Joe Maddon fan. Think about it, he had nothing to work with, and Tampa Bay took a huge chance because he was just a bench coach with the Angels, and they were looking for a manager and all that. It could have been at that point a payroll issue and all that, but they gave Joe a chance, and he's still a hero in Tampa Bay. Has a restaurant, and I think he still lives in Tampa Bay. But again, just somebody who became a star. Just how he took a team with no superstars and made it a great team. And they, I mean, they went to the World Series, lost to the Phillies, but they were very, very good for an extended period of time.
Yeah, it was fun to watch a young team.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds you of the Florida Marlins in the 90s, kind of
Correct.
rising through the ranks.
Yeah.
So we end with talking about our favorite logo in Ray/Devil Ray history. So you have the very colorful early Rays, then it got a little less colorful, and then went to the Rays. So which one is your favorite?
I like the colorful one, and I love it when
Me too.
Yeah.
Their uniforms.
Yeah. They had great color scheme and everything else, and it was a great projection of a young team that was colorful, that took the thing. They stole bases. They were exciting on offense. They had some solid pitching. They're a fun team to watch, and a limited payroll.
Yeah.
So
I think there was one season, I don't remember which year, feel free to look it up, that the opening day lineup was $20 million.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Which is like...
one player.
Or less.
Yeah.
You're not getting a Trout, a Cabrera, a Harper,
Yeah.
a Verlander, a Kershaw. You're not, that's like 2/3 of their year. So it's incredible that they were able to fit a 25-man team. I don't even know if that includes the manager. I don't know. Who knows? But regardless, $20 million is incredible that you're able to do that.
Right.
And even if you win a game, in my opinion, it's impressive with that little of a payroll. So they were a fun team to watch. I still enjoy the Devil Rays games, and I love when they get 90 wins versus two Goliaths in the East.
I agree. You brought up Joe Maddon and Mike Trout. Interesting story. The other day came out. Joe Maddon predicted Mike Trout would go down as the greatest player in Major League Baseball history.
Of all history?
Yes.
He's a great player. I'm not knocking him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this a little early. You gotta wait,
But that's what he came up with, and I went, wow. It's a hell of a statement to make.
It is.
So, yeah.
Well, yes, we got a big Joe Maddon fan, so we would have all Joe Maddon facts. Just get a Joe Maddon podcast while you're at it. Thank you all for joining us. For the Rays fans, I certainly hope you find a World Series ring soon. I think your team deserves it and your city deserves it. So you certainly have our support of the Father and Son Pastime podcast. And I hope that...
And a new stadium.
Yeah, and it's an interesting stadium. I hope you guys like that. But I hope that we revisit this in a couple decades, and we might have some Hall of Famers to add to this list and some new names where you can be really proud of a rich history in Tampa. So thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.